Welcome back to the Ghost Bunny Podcast. I'm your host, Bridget Marquardt, with a brand new episode for you guys. My guests today are Spencer Henry and Madison Reyes. Spencer Henry and Madison Reyes are the dynamic duo behind Obituary, the wildly popular podcast that finds humor in history's most bizarre deaths, funeral traditions, and obituary oddities. What started as a long-standing habit of sending each other strange obituaries evolved into a full-fledged phenomenon when Spencer, already known for his hit true crime podcast Cult Leader, asked Madison to join him in launching Obituary. She said yes immediately, and the rest is history. Dark, hilarious, and morbidly fascinating history. Together, their undeniable chemistry and quick-witted storytelling have captivated audiences, leading to multiple U.S. tours and dedicated, ever-growing community of listeners who can't get enough of their sharp humor and deep dives into the macabre. Their success reached new heights in 2024 with the release of Obituary, the Big Hot Book of Death, a New York Times bestseller that takes readers on a wildly entertaining journey through history's strangest send-offs, the weird world of death culture, and the many ways people have met their end. With a fearless approach to storytelling and a knack for uncovering the strange, shocking, and downright absurd, Spencer and Madison continue to push boundaries, proving that sometimes the best way to face mortality is with a laugh. And I'm so excited to have them here today. Spencer and Madison, thank you so much for doing the podcast today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, I know it's going to be so much fun today, so I'm really excited. But first, will you just tell everybody about your podcast, Obituary?
Where to start?
It's so much fun, first of all. It's a subject that, you know, everybody's going to die. We all have to talk about it, but we have a lot of fun talking about it and learning so much. We also read obituaries, which have taught us so much about life. And coffin spinners we do, which are like deep dives into whether it's history or science or ghost stories or
pretty much everything pertaining to the funerary world we discuss on the show. So it's been a really interesting journey and eye-opening for us who had no experience in the death realm whatsoever. And it's fun for us because we're kind of learning alongside our listeners.
Yeah, we tell our listeners, like, we're dumbasses. Like, we don't know anything. We're learning this with you. And so we can explain certain things like decomposition or anything that's kind of complicated. Like, we try to explain it how we would want to learn it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And I think it's cool because you guys make learning about death kind of fun and entertaining and stuff, because so many people are so scared to talk about it, or it's such a dark subject.
Yeah.
So I like when it can be lightened up a little bit, and people can learn about things, because the more you learn about something, the more you know about it, the less scary things can be. And so when you can learn about it in a fun way where you're like, oh, okay, they're talking about death and like scary things, but like they're so fun and I like listening to them and I'm learning, then I think in the end process, you're also making yourself not quite as scared in the end.
Yeah.
We say that all the time. Like, doing the show has made us so much less. Of course, we're still afraid because we don't know what's coming.
We would love to live forever, but we can't.
No. And so it's made us so much more comfortable. And also, I feel like that's the coolest part about the feedback that we get from the show, from our listeners, the G-offs, is they're always telling us that we've helped them through these really tough situations. I mean, death sucks and grief sucks. And so the fact that we can even be somewhat helpful during that time for people is so special.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it really is. And how long have you guys been doing it?
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And what are the G-offs?
Okay.
Back to being a dumbass. I can barely read. I have no idea how we were able to write a book. I was reading, we have a segment on our show called Dumbass Criminal.
Yes.
And so we talk about criminals, and there was a guy on there. I think
that's what happened. It was like our 11th episode. I think it was pretty early on, but his name was Jeff. But it was spelled Geoff. And she's like, Geoff Gaylord from blah, blah, blah. And I just lost it because I was just laughing because there's like a meme that says there's nothing funnier than when your friend mispronounces a word a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we were dying laughing about it. And then that just somehow transpired into our listeners being called Geoff.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So we have like merch and stuff that says
Geoff on it. Yeah.
So
We're all about it.
And how did you guys meet?
God, we go way
yeah,
back. So we met probably 11-ish years ago, I want to say, through someone that I was dating at the time.
Mhm.
And then,
First date was
we went and saw Evil Dead in theaters
Oh,
together. And we just
remake.
knew it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And then when we broke up, me and my ex, I kept her. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the trade-off.
Okay. And then how did you guys, I mean, I know you said you saw Evil Dead, but how did you guys know you had a shared interest in like kind of the dark side of things?
Well, we really started getting close about 6 years ago after my mom passed away. It just bonded us. Like we got really close during that time. And we both have, I feel like, a mentality on life where we just like to laugh at everything. And during that time, we were sending each other just wild obituaries, like hilarious obituaries.
But how does that start? How did that start?
I don't know. I mean, we always like, I was going to say being together, like hanging out, we would always do and like get into fun, kind of like creepy stuff. Like we'd always be at every Halloween haunt.
Yes.
There was a mortuary by us that's beautiful that we would just like go grab a coffee and just
Go-
walk through.
yeah.
And so I don't know, anything creepy, like any movie, anything, we just kind of bonded over.
Yeah.
That is so interesting.
We just love it.
Yeah, you guys found your like kindred spirit.
Totally.
And
Like,
now here we are at the Haunted Mansion.
I know. It's so cool.
We love it.
Well, do you guys remember what the first obituary that you sent each other where you're like, oh my God, I have to send this to you. This is so weird.
What was it? Was it?
No, I know what one it was. It was the one with the cheater husband, the
Oh,
Guillermo.
Guillermo del Castillo.
Yes.
There was an obituary that got
Wild.
published, and it was published in this paper. This man's wife and kids had put out this obituary for him, and it's like he was a loving husband, father, blah, blah, blah. It gets printed, so the family obviously wants to see it, so they go and grab the paper, and they open it up, and directly beneath it is another obituary for the same man, but it came from his mistress.
Uh-huh.
And so it was like a huge scandal.
Yep.
And just what a way to find out your husband's cheating on you from
Yeah.
the obituary
Yep.
of all things. And you can't even do anything at that point. yeah.
No,
He was about to be.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was the first one.
You learn so much from an obituary, but you also learn just like how your family will react. I mean that by like we have read obituaries that sound so wonderful and are like, God, this person was incredible. And then we'll follow up with an article about this person actually killed their entire family.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But yet the family wrote this like
Beautiful
Yay.
tribute as if they were just, God's gift to earth.
Yeah.
And then it turns out they massacred their wife and children.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. I don't know if I would probably do that for my loved one.
Right?
So
Mhm.
That's so interesting. And it's not the same, but it sort of reminds me of how like on Dateline, everybody the murdered person always like lit up the room and everything.
Always.
There's-
Yes.
I just feel like we really put people who have passed away on a pedestal,
Uh-huh.
whether they deserved it or not.
yep.
And I'm sure, I mean, I'm not saying people don't deserve it. There's probably lots of people that deserve it. Don't like hate me for that. But I just feel like once somebody passes away, all of a sudden they're elevated to another level.
Yes.
They're murderers.
I know.
It's-
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we love like our favorite type of obituary is a scathing one where the family is like, actually,
Ooh.
this is for my mom.
Yeah.
And she was horrible. Like that is we're like air it out.
Yeah.
I love it.
So cathartic, probably, to just get that out there because not everyone is a great person. And
Right,
sometimes when people pass away, it's like, yeah, they didn't light up a room. They
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were terrible, actually.
Yeah. I was at a funeral a few years back, and a lot of people gave nice speeches and stuff. And we all knew this person he was generous and he was nice and stuff, but he was also kind of an asshole. Everybody kind of knows that and stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, one person got up and started making a few comments, not in a mean way, but
just enough.
Just a little things about some things that he would do back in the day and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, now we're talking about the same guy.
Yep, like let's keep it real. It also kind of, I feel like, brings the tension down in a room when people just keep it real like that.
Yes, and you can hire someone to do that. We talk about it in the book. It's called a coffin confessor. You can hire like a professional to come and just be like, give a message or stand up in the middle of the funeral and like say something like that.
Oh my gosh, like the professional criers that you can have.
Yeah.
Moirologist, yeah.
You all hired Jeff Ross to come and like totally.
Yeah. Oh, I would love a roast at my funeral.
I need to roast this person, Jeff. Can you come to this funeral?
I love it.
Oh, I would love it.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
So funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I wanted to bring up your book because obviously we want to talk about it and promote it too. It's Obituary, the big hot book of death. But you want to know a funny story, you guys?
Yes.
So, well, it's not even that funny, but it's just a weird coincidence. It just shows like what a small world things are. So I've been thinking about writing a memoir from my Playboy days and stuff. And my agents, the literary agents who are helping me and like really pushing me to do it and stuff, said, so we need you to write a book proposal. And I was like, I don't even know how to do
hard.
a book proposal. Yeah. And they're like, well, how about we send you like a few different samples of people that have done it. And, so you can get an idea of how to go from there. And one of the samples was you guys.
Oh my God.
Before this even came out, like I saw your guys' book proposal.
What?
And they sent me like 3 or 4 of them. And I resonated with your guys the most. And
that is so special. That
so
means so
special.
much.
Part of it could have been the theme because I'm so into all of
Yeah.
it. But it was more than that. Like I felt connected. Like I immediately wanted to read your book. Like I liked the format of it. Like I just liked all of it. And so I told them I'm going to use this as kind of like my inspiration for like writing my book proposal.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then when like I totally forgot all about that. Wasn't even thinking about it. And actual listener messaged me and said, oh, you should really have these guys on your podcast. Still didn't click in my head that it was the book proposal or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I started researching you guys a little bit and I was like, oh, that would be so much fun. I'm like, why does it seem so familiar to me? And then I saw the book thing and I was like, oh my God.
I love
I have
that
chills right
so
now.
much.
That's
I
so
know.
cool.
All meant to be. And it was all coming to this point right now.
That makes me so happy.
So happy.
Especially because the proposal is like you said, you're like, how do I, what?
Yeah, like where do I even start with this?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
And it's much more complex than I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it might just be like a quick summary, like 2-3 pages
Yeah.
or something, a couple paragraphs, whatever. But no.
It's homework. It is a full-on, it's like a thesis.
Yeah.
It's like an assignment.
It is like a thesis. I've been working on it for a while now, and they're still like, well, maybe we can like still send me one more chapter of this, or, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writing a book is no easy feat. I feel like even between the two of us, we were just like, I don't know what we envisioned going into that process, but as you now know, it's like a whole situation. It's so layered.
We had a topic that is obviously it's personal to everybody. It's death, but like I can't even imagine a memoir. Like that's so personal, you know?
Yeah. And there's things where they're like, well, send us this chapter. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want everybody to have that.
Yeah. Fully. But we want to read it, so send it to us. We're nosy. We're like, give us all the tea.
I was looking I was doing my research on you guys as I always do, and I saw this tour schedule that you guys have. Tell me about this tour and how crazy it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Like I'm tired now just looking at
No. So I think that was from one of our past tours. It's put on our page though. But that tour was our first foray. So our first show that we actually did was here in Southern California, and we did it at the Irvine Improv, and we had no idea what to expect because that's the weird thing about like podcasting is like we're behind a computer a lot of the time. Like, we didn't have interaction with the people that actually listen to us.
Yeah.
And so doing our show for the first time, we're like, are people going to come? Like, it feels like a birthday party. Like, are people going to show up for us? And that show sold out. And so then we put together that tour. And that was like a wild whirlwind because it was a very long tour. But then last year, our most recent tour a couple months ago was actually for our book. And that one was a whole different experience because that was every single day you're somewhere different doing the book tour. And it was just like wild. But our actual tour, our live shows, we're in the midst of planning our next tour right now. And it's just so fun. We love to put on a show. It feels like little kids performing for your family or something.
Yeah.
Do you guys do live shows ever?
We don't.
No? You should. I think it'd be so fun. People would come.
Yeah.
We'd be
we've
there.
been approached about it before, but Holly's kind of like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
wanna do that.
It's scary.
It's totally scary.
We were like, we don't want it to be just us sitting there talking, which it is a lot of that. But like, so we had like a 50 or 60 page slideshow that we had.
Yeah.
And it was all the nastiest things you could ever imagine, like being put up there, just anything death related.
Yeah.
And so that was super fun. And I feel like by the end of it, like we had it down.
Yeah.
We were like,
It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are like me, but I love keeping in touch with my parents. And if I'm not on the phone with my mom, then I'm probably on the phone with my dad. I keep them posted on everything I've got going on, and I love to hear all the stuff that they've got going on. And who doesn't need a great set of earbuds when chatting on the phone? This Father's Day, let's show our dads that they deserve the world at a price even they will be impressed by. This Father's Day, treat Dad to a pair of everyday earbuds by Raycon because he deserves to relax, recharge, enjoy his favorite music, and of course, podcasts, but most importantly, hear from his favorite daughter in crystal clear sound. Raycon's everyday earbuds are the perfect gift for your dad, no matter what he's up to. Lifting at the gym, endless work calls, jamming out to his favorite tunes so everybody else doesn't have to listen to it. Just give your dad the gift of premium audio that goes where he does. And Raycon's latest model is better than ever, with a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets him pair with 2 devices at once. Finally, Dad can wave bye to that tangled old pair of wired earbuds. Speaking of battery, though, with Raycon's quick charge function, just 10 minutes of charging yields 90 minutes of battery. These earbuds also come with active noise cancellation, which is often difficult to find at such an accessible, dad-friendly price point. Raycons start at just half the price of other premium audio brands. And here's the fun part. Raycon's everyday earbuds come in a spectrum of vibrant colors to match your dad's vibes. I just got some for myself, and I got the purple ones. Have you ever even seen purple earbuds before? I hadn't. If your dad is like my dad, he probably thinks earbuds are expensive and he doesn't need them. He can just use the old wired ones or worse, speaker phone. So get him the gift he doesn't even know he needs and that he's going to love. And if for some reason, though I can't imagine why, your dad is not liking his Raycons, they offer a 30-day happiness guarantee return policy. No questions asked. Go to buyraycon.com/ghostbunny to get 15% off site-wide. Right now, Raycon is offering up to 15% off site-wide when you go to buyraycon.com/ghostbunny. buyraycon.com/ghostbunny. That's buyraycon.com/ghostbunny.
So you guys like all this kind of morbid stuff and everything, but what about the paranormal?
Oh,
love it.
all about the paranormal.
Yes.
Yes. Love it so much. Actually, like, I feel like pretty early on, so I have another podcast, Cult Leader, and on that show, I cover more of the paranormal stuff, I would say, than Obituary. It's one's true crime, one's Obituary. So it's like trying to find out what makes more
Some
sense
of them
for which.
blend,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Love a ghost story, though.
Yes.
And love paranormal anything.
Yeah.
And do you guys ever do investigations?
You have.
I
We
have.
would love to, though.
I've done like Queen Mary,
Okay.
I stayed in the
And-
haunted room.
In B340?
Yep.
Okay.
And
and anything happened while you were there?
it was just like very heavy feeling to me.
It is
there.
a heavy feeling
like
there.
On the whole ship or just in that room?
I felt that room, like staying in there and everything. I just felt.
I didn't do it with you, but I've just going on the Queen Mary, the hallways, I feel like they
Disoriented.
close in and disorient. Yeah.
I would say the most paranormal activity I felt was at the Lizzie Borden house.
Oh, yeah.
Have you stayed there before?
I've not stayed the night, but I've gone on the tour twice.
Okay, I stayed there. This is just so random. I had the worst, like, sinus tooth pain you can imagine in your life. Just, like, so gnarly. And I was like, I stayed the night there. And it was only while I was there, the second I got left and was like on the way to the airport, was completely fine. And so to me, that felt spooky.
Crazy.
Haunted.
I've had a similar experience at the Myrtles plantation. I got like the worst migraine, and I do get migraine, so it wasn't the, realm, but I took my pill, which usually like just clears it up within like 20 minutes or something, and it didn't take it away. I took a second one, didn't budge it, and it was like just so bad that I felt like I couldn't even investigate the way I wanted.
Yeah.
I had to like just rest. Like it
Yeah.
was just killing me. Like I gave it a good shot. It was like 1 a.m. I'm like, I have to go to bed now, and that's when everything just like started.
Do you think it was something like warning you or like, don't do this?
It's interesting. I don't know if it was a warning or part of the haunting. Like I almost feel like it was something to sort of incapacitate me a little bit so that I wasn't so gung-ho and like up at any little, noise to like investigate to where like I felt like I just couldn't do it. And I had to just lay there and take it and be scared.
Okay, I actually love that you told me that. Because that feels like I felt crazy for that.
Right.
It's because I'm like, what is that? And it never came back. Like that's never happened to me again since that situation. I will say though, I moved into an old house here, and you were there the other day when it was happening. A little bit, where the timer was going off in the kitchen and stuff, because there's like a vintage oven in there.
Yeah, but your house before, you saw a man at the top of the stairs.
Oh my God, yeah. My last house had like a little like guest casita outside, and it's a 2 stories because it's above the garage. And when I was inside of like the regular house, there was like a part where you could look out, always saw people up there. One time we went up there.
You always saw people?
Always saw people up there. There'd be like, it looked like people were moving in there. And I was freaked out because I lived alone at the time. And I was like, Jesus, like, what is this?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it would be so bad that I literally made us go up there one time because I'm like, someone's up there. I know it. I'm like, someone.
Well, we went out there with like weapons.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Ready to fuck them up.
But we were like, somebody is breaking in. Like it was that.
Yeah.
A broomstick in one hand.
Yeah.
Flashlight.
But my house now, it was the last person living in there was this older woman, and she passed away. But I snore sometimes, and my lovely partner is a light sleeper. And so it was like right after we had moved in, I went and slept in a guest room on the other side of the house, and I was laying there, vividly could hear her talking to me. Like, not talking to me. I could hear her talking about us moving into the house, but not to me directly. I could just hear her talking about these 2 guys moving into the house. Yeah. And it was the most bizarre thing. And I was like, is there a gas leak in here or something? But it was so bizarre. And I have to be truthful. I did not, like, I've always had complicated ideas about the afterlife because I'm like, I don't know if there's anything, like maybe there's nothing. And I've gone through different periods, but I saw a psychic medium last March, and I had it was the wildest experience I've ever had in my life. And it kind of, I feel like, reopened me to learning more and wanting to learn more about it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Who was the medium?
His name was Felix Lee Lerma. He's in San Francisco. My sister took me for my birthday, and she's like, oh, like, I think this will be, a fun experience, because we had tried to go on the anniversary of our mother's death a couple years prior, and the psychic in Palm Springs that just...
He was like hitting on you.
Yeah, he just and didn't. I don't know where it was, but not picking up on spirits. And so we went to this one, and the one in San Francisco just names everything, like just names that like wouldn't be tied in an obituary or something, like stuff that is not able to be found online.
Wow. Too.
Pets. The craziest thing was like my sister had something like stuck in her tooth on the way there, and she was like showing me, and towards the end of the session, he's like, "Oh, by the way, your mom says your teeth look fine. Like, there's nothing in the teeth." Like, just things that were so exact and just chills the entire time. It was crazy.
I always love to hear about a good psychic medium.
I know.
The real deal. And my partner was actually supposed to have a session with him today, but it ended up getting moved. But it's just so good.
And so he does it over the phone?
He'll do Zoom or in person. I love in person everything because I just feel like you get the energy a little bit more. I don't know.
But if they're really good, they can do it. They can do it via Zoom.
Yeah.
Totally.
Have you had any like crazy readings before?
So, okay, I'm kind of scared about readings.
Okay.
I'm not so much scared about medium readings. Like, I don't mind if somebody says, oh, you know, a dead relative is talking to you, or your dad is here, or your friend is here. Like, that I'm into. But I don't love just getting like a psychic reading like about my future.
Yeah, I don't like
I have health anxiety, so anything that I hear, I'm like, I hyper focus on.
Yeah,
and
because I really feel like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they say that, then now I'm going to be hyper vigilant about that thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like worried about that.
Yep.
So I love like the past, or I love from the other side, but I don't love so much. Like, even if I say, oh, I have this project going on, like, how's it going to turn out? And if they say, well, there's going to be like an obstacle, but then it's all
then you focus on the obstacle.
Yeah, like, shit, everything was going so good. Now what's my obstacle going to be?
Yeah.
Like, and I panic over that. And that's all I can think of then.
We were talking about that with horoscopes the other night because I can't read my horoscope because it gives me really bad anxiety. If it says something bad's going to happen, I am like, all week, like, oh shit, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna? Who's betraying me? What's going on?
Well, I was texting you like, because I got a thing. I'm a Leo, and so I got a thing for Leo, and I was like, this is so accurate. This is gonna be so good, and I was like, remember we were talking about a negative person, and I don't know, and he's like, you need to not. Like,
you just stop looking at
because all of a sudden, in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, that goes there, that matches, like, and I was totally making it a thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, see, I like to do that too. Like, I enjoy the horoscope thing, but then when it says on the 24th, you're going to receive not so great news.
Yeah.
And then, you know, blah, blah, and I'm like, then I'm like, the 24th, I'm literally marking it on my
calendar. I'm like sweating, like, okay.
Yeah. Like, or like, oh, there's going to be, I don't know what, but I'm like, oh, I'll hide out. Weekend. It's going to be a bad weekend. Everybody's things are going to be misaligned, and everybody's going to be arguing that weekend. I'm not coming out of my room.
Totally. It's
and
just
I
insane.
decided I don't need that stress.
I know.
But it is fun to look back, to read it after the fact.
Yeah.
And see, did any of that happen? A lot of the times, the 24th came and went and nothing happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No bad news.
Which goes back to the self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes. Like, I feel like you think about that, and then maybe you're in a bad mood that day because you knew that day was supposed to be a bad day for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is.
We're big into the like manifestation. Like, if you set your intention, you know.
Daily gratitude.
Yeah.
Like, we practice all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the horoscope's just too much for me sometimes.
Well, I do like the astrology and everything, and Holly's really good about it. Like, she'll be like, oh, you know, it's Mercury retrograde, and oh, well, this is this, and all the stars. And I'm like, really? What does it mean, though? and she just like knows all that stuff. I don't like learn all of it. I just know very little.
Yeah.
Like, I know Mercury retrograde is not good. Like, it could be Mercury retrograde right now with these mics.
It just ended.
Oh yeah.
It did?
I know, because my
there's a lag time on them.
There is before and after. So my partner's super in, like Holly's super into all of it, and he'll tell me things, and then I tell her, I'm like, well, the moon's like this tonight or something, so you better do this. Put your crystals out or whatever. He's out there with like making moon water and stuff, and I'm like, I love it. Great.
I do like to go out on a full moon and do like what I call moon bathing, like just sit outside in the full moon for like at least just a few minutes.
Okay.
Like, think about stuff that I want to manifest into my life, things that I want to get rid of.
Yeah.
Like, it could be even just, 1 minute out there, but I just go and like I get it in my sights. I see it, and I just kind of like close my eyes and
Yep.
feel it over me
I
for like
love
a
that.
minute or so. And
I
then
love it.
it's usually freezing at this time of year, so then just run back in.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I love that.
Fully.
Yeah, I got my husband doing it too. Now I'm like, it's a full moon. We got to stand outside the dry
Yeah.
for a minute.
Yep.
He's like,
So,
okay.
well, taking pictures, which they never turn out.
Always like a little blurry
A little
dot. It's like,
blur.
what am I saving this for? But
Yeah.
nice to have.
I said to my mom, full moon. Are you checking it out? Okay, so some of the things I was looking at on your guys' podcast and everything, and from your book too, that I wanted to talk to you about. Keepsakes made with human remains came up. And this is an interesting thing too, because I when my dog passed away and she was like my everything.
Oh.
I have her ashes, and I know that you can have them made into a diamond.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
you can.
And I was thinking about doing that. And I
Yeah.
heard they don't even need all of them. They just need like a little scoop.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
It's
absolutely do that.
they can do all different types of like color diamonds and
Mhm.
stuff. They can do different types of gemstones. I mean, I would definitely absolutely do that for my dog. I feel like
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
such a cool business. Well, and it kind of is like I feel like our version of back in the day, they used to make like in the Victorian era, especially they would do like jewelry with people's hair and
Yeah,
stuff
the hair
weaved
wreaths.
into it.
There's a hair art class. There's a Victorian morning hair art class coming up that you can take on Zoom that I'm signed up for.
We'll be
If you
there.
have to
Do it.
We want the details for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, we love all of it. I also love when people take, well, we talked about it in the book too, where people will preserve tattoos. If somebody died, you can preserve the
How do they
skin.
They cut
They,
the skin.
There's a
yeah.
whole process. Yeah. There's companies like professional companies that can do it, but that's not ashes. But with ashes, I like the ink they can do.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
For like
oh,
tattoos
yeah,
and
right.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much fun, creative stuff that you can do that you don't need to use all of the ashes for either.
Yeah. No, totally. I think the jewelry though, I think a lot of people do like they have like the necklaces and stuff where you can
Mhm.
just put some of the ashes in there, but I think actually transforming them into like a diamond or something
Yeah.
so cool.
It
Or a
is cool.
record.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
can make a
yeah,
record.
a
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do anything with ashes,
How do you make a
honestly.
record with it?
They pour it into
know.
like the vinyl mixture or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Interesting.
I know.
What else? Tattoo ink, diamond, the hair process, the actual tattoo.
The actual tattoo is so wild. There's ones where they'll literally do like a whole back piece from someone and frame it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't probably love to be in the home.
I thought that's actually legal.
It's a process. I think they have to like there's specific instructions and there's specific companies that will go
They'll
and
come, they'll pick up the body.
like they
they'll
work
do the whole
directly
thing.
with like the funeral directors and stuff.
But for some, like you have tattoos. I don't have any tattoos, but like you spend a lot of money on tattoos,
It's true.
right?
That's true.
And there's some that are special that
And it is art.
it's art.
It's art.
So, I mean, it is interesting.
Like
It
this
is
was
interesting.
Mima's tramp stamp. And, like you have it in the kitchen, just like
Yeah. Skin is creepy already,
yeah.
but you know, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Well, because I know that there's some like really old books. Not that this is the same thing, but there's some really old books made out of human skin.
Audio bibliopegy
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, they literally
I don't
bound
even
them
know
with,
if that's
I
right.
like how you know all the like, actual like scientific names
Well,
of this stuff. I'm like,
I think that's what we called it. I think it's called like anthropodermic bibliopegy or something.
Yeah.
But like, yeah,
we couldn't say it.
they bound they make like leather bound books with people's
Mhm.
skin. And they did that.
or like lampshades.
Lampshades. Yeah. It's
You can
fucking
do so
terrible.
much with the human body. I mean,
You
if you
really
think about an
can.
animal, what we do with
Yeah.
an
That's
animal,
true.
like
ashes don't freak me out at all. Like
No.
like
No.
I'm fine with people's ashes. People have brought their loved ones' ashes to our live shows before and had us take pictures
Yeah.
with them. So we love ashes.
people
But
bring me tea. 'Cause
oh
they
yeah.
all, like, I save I have all my family's wisdom teeth. Like I just
You have my wisdom teeth.
yeah, yes, I do actually. I just like them. I like to have them, and so people will bring me tea. that-
oh my
Yeah.
god. You know what? I did save my wisdom teeth. I have no idea where they are now, but I do remember saving them. The doctor gave them to me in like
They're
a little tiny
huge.
plastic. They are huge.
Yeah.
And you can get them like gold dipped and stuff. And
That's what I want to do.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
did save some of my baby teeth at one point, but I
Uh-huh.
have no idea where any of that is now.
Somewhere, which is also a
you ever wanna
scary
give them
thing.
Give them to me. I started going through all my storage stuff, and I'm like, what the heck? Oh, I know who wants these.
Mhm.
I know exactly who to give these to.
Could start a tooth museum one day.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
The tooth fairy.
All right. One of the things I also saw when researching you guys, most scandalous deathbed confession. Do you guys have one?
We love a deathbed confession.
Uh-huh.
I mean, most of the time, unfortunately, they're pretty traumatizing confessions. Like somebody will admit that they
Murdered someone, or there was a prisoner actually that was on his deathbed, confessed to, I don't know his name at the top of my head, but confessed to more murders, and then he didn't die. And so he had to go get
Yeah.
in trouble for what he confessed to.
imagine that as like a plot twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plot twist. There's also a lot of deathbed conversions too, like converting at the last minute to
Oh, to like believing in God, or yeah.
yeah. That's always crazy.
I feel like that's a common thing, like towards
Yeah.
the end of people's
I need a
lives.
priest.
It's kind of like
I need
a,
that.
it's,
Church your whole life. I need a priest now, though.
it's like a just in case type of
totally
vibe.
just in case.
I mean, yeah, I feel like deathbed confessions though are such like a scandalous thing, but also I feel like there's a lot of sweet ones too. Like, God, now I'm blanking.
I know,
now that I bring it
I know,
up.
it's hard to think about because even I remember that there was like and I'm blanking on what the story was too, but there was like a story of like somebody who everybody thought like murdered somebody, and they were hoping like that this person would
Admit
confess
to it.
because they were very sick and they were about to die, and they're like, I hope he's gonna like confess it, and it never happened. And I just remember there's like some stories like that I've heard.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd want to get it off your chest before you
Totally.
go.
Well, why not say it now?
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I guess in case you
case
don't
you
die
don't
and then you
go.
have to go
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I guess we have one example why. Yeah.
You really never know.
Also things like people who have buried like treasures or like things like that, like get it, say it, come
Yeah.
on. I
Where
hate a
is it?
mystery.
I know.
I know.
I need them solved.
Oh.
I love a mystery, but I hate the mystery. Like,
Uh-huh.
I like hearing the mystery, but I need it to solve.
We
need
need the
an ending.
conclusion.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I say I love Lifetime movies because they'll be
not gonna
wild
leave you
sometimes, but then you know they're gonna just like be like 6 months later and they're playing in the yard, just happy.
Everything's good. Yeah.
It's like I need to know if Lizzie Borden did it or not.
Oh,
Oh.
absolutely.
You think?
I
It's so
do.
funny. Every guest I have on has a different opinion.
But I will say we had a spirit box when we were at Lizzie Borden, and we got a recording from it that just said it was John.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't remember. I don't know if John was her uncle or what. I can't remember the story at all, but I know that it was John, and there was a guy, John, who was, I think, one of like the suspects or something.
Okay.
But I don't know.
yeah.
Because sometimes I'm like, I feel like the most obvious answer is the answer, but
Yeah.
like other times I guess you don't really know.
It's interesting. What did you have happen there when you were there?
Well, I had the tooth thing there. We did the, they wanted to pull out the Ouija board that was there, or maybe I wanted to. I don't remember at the time, but then I think we were all freaked out and like, okay, actually, I don't want to do this. But it
They
was
like have one there.
yeah, yeah.
okay,
They have
okay.
one in like the little living room. Yeah, you've been there. It's like they have like, I think it's in the room where the couch is because remember there's like a room when you first walk in on the left that's more of like a sitting room or whatever, and then over
Yes.
to the right is like more of like a family room.
Okay.
And yeah, they have a little basket of Ouija boards and stuff. We went around that night. I feel like we had an EMF reader. We had it all. We had the
Yeah.
whole kit. But it was also a blur for me because I was from here to there for 24 hours. So it was like, took a red eye there. We did the whole thing overnight, ghost
Wow.
hunting, and then flew back the next day. So I was just delusional as
Yeah.
well.
That's true. Yeah. Is there any other places you guys have been that like for paranormal, or that you didn't even go necessarily for paranormal, but something paranormal may have happened?
It's okay, so it's hard because I don't know if I'm very open to it all. I'm like, show me, like I want to see something.
Yeah.
But I've never seen like a spirit
What
or
about your
anything.
house? The light.
But yes, so I feel things and I smell things. So
Ooh.
I always smell cigarettes in my house. And if I could still smoke cigarettes, I would, but I don't. But I always smell it in my house. My house is 100 years old. And I know that I'm sure people have died in the house or they used to smoke in the house. So I always smell cigarettes. But we went in Downey to the insane asylum there,
Or like the abandoned asylum.
Hollydale.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
abandoned
Wait,
one.
is that still there?
It's still there. It's across from like the actual hospital that they have now. And you feel it. Like
Yeah.
you feel something.
We used to drive down to it all the time and we'd like look over, but we'd always be scared to go inside, not because of like ghosts, but we're just like, we don't know if there's people in there
Oh, yeah.
doing what.
Yeah.
But it's so cool and like beautiful looking. It's kind of in shambles, but you could tell how beautiful it was. And
Yeah.
we did a whole like deep dive into it. And
Yeah.
it's horrific, like what they did to people there.
Mhm.
But
I went to in Salt Lake City, there was this situation that happened to the David family where a family was basically like living in this hotel. It's now a Holiday Inn, I think. A Holiday Inn
Oh,
Express. They were
yeah.
all living there. And then everything got too much. The family decided, like the husband, wife, kids all had to die. And so they were like throwing their kids off the balcony. And then the parents, I think, jumped too. I can't
Oh
remember the
my
story
God.
verbatim. But so we stayed at that hotel
Mhm.
also for like, paranormal investigation reasons. And we were staying there, we are laying there, we are like looking up at the roof, and then we realized there was like little specks of blood on the roof. Like we got up and we're like, yeah, that's blood. But then someone's like, yeah, but that also can happen if there's like heroin addicts staying because the blood will like.
Oh my God.
I know. So maybe not haunted, but I mean, definitely some dark stuff was happening in that hotel. But yeah.
Okay, moving on. No, body snatchers, because I went to Scotland. I know, it was incredible, just in October. And I did all the spooky things that you could possibly do, pretty much anyway. And one of the places that we went was to the cemetery there, Greyfriars Kirkyard. And they were talking about the body snatchers back in those days. And they had special, if you were rich enough, you had these special grates put over your...
Mort
Yes. And they have a very famous pair that was... the duo that was doing that was doing the body snatching. And they were giving them to the medical school that was there.
Yep.
It's crazy because at that time, like, that was like kind of common practice. I feel like it was happening so much, like where people were either grave robbing, or they were taking the bodies, or doing both, stealing the jewelry or valuables from the bodies and then giving the bodies to medical schools to practice with. But it feels like that's so corrupt. How could that happen? But it
wasn't just criminals doing it too. It was doctors. It was people in the medical school. I mean, Harvard, we went to Harvard. Well, we didn't go to Harvard.
we did attend for an afternoon.
I went to Yale for an afternoon.
Yeah.
So.
Look at us, Ivy Leaguers.
You know what? I've been to Harvard too. I was at Harvard too.
Yeah.
What years were you there? I was
only 18. So, yeah.
It's hard to know.
But they still have their old medical building there. It's tiny. And I think it's just like a classroom now, but I guess a couple years ago, they were remodeling it. And I don't know it off the top of my head, so I'm sorry if I'm butchering this story, but we went and saw it, and they had found a ton of bones in this well underneath the building, like this little schoolhouse kind of looking thing.
Yeah.
Because that's where they would just store
Yeah.
the bones of all the people that they stole. Because
Experimented on. And
it's like, it's so messed up, but then it's also like, we talk a lot about like the medical history of just the United States, also a lot of Europe, and just how insane everything sounded before it got into like modern.
oh, the
the
tests
modern
they
world.
used to run on people to see if they were actually deceased.
Yeah, like clamp their nipples,
Stab
cut
up.
their tongues, stab them. Yeah,
Now they're dead.
Yeah.
I wasn't before. Now I am.
yeah.
Wow. It sort of reminds me, are you guys familiar with the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas?
No.
It's haunted. It looks really beautiful. I haven't been before, but it was at one time, there was this doctor who swore he could cure cancer. So everybody with like cancer thought they were going to be cured would go here, and they were doing all this crazy experiments on them.
Yeah.
And they found, they were excavating something, and they found all these jars with like human remains in it, like a heart or like a liver or a cancer tumor, like all just tons of jars. And they had to halt what they were doing, and they had to call in like archaeologists to come and like the State Department to come, and like everybody had to be involved, and like because they were actual human remains.
Have you been to the Mutter Museum?
No, but I want to go.
Oh, it's
We got to go.
so good. Yeah, we had a show in Philadelphia, and so we got to go, and it is incredible. My favorite museum that I've ever been to.
Tell
Favorite.
people listening in case they don't know what it is.
Okay, it's in Philadelphia. It's the Mutter Museum or Mutter. Everyone.
I think
says
you
it
could say
so
it either
differently.
or.
Yeah.
It's like connected to their kind of medical school.
Uh-huh.
And they have like every medical oddity.
Or like
ever.
abnormality. They have they have an entire wall of human skulls. And it's like there's been a lot of debate obviously over the ethics of things like that. Like should those be there? But I mean they are a part of history.
The soap lady.
Yeah, the adipocere,
What?
it's called like adipocere, and basically you can kind of like create like form depending on like the temperatures, how your body's left and everything. You can kind of form this like wax
You can
that
basically make
emanates.
soap from a human body because of like
Okay.
the lard and or whatever.
It's like the wax that comes out. Yeah, I can like
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they have a lady there that
And she's laying
the
in a
soap
glass
lady.
box. She's like,
yeah.
Oh no! Couldn't they get a more flattering picture?
but it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's been on my list for a long time. It's one of those places that I definitely want to go. And I wonder if a place like that is haunted with all of those human artifacts and things like that.
Probably.
Specifically with the skull wall, you did like a whole episode on that and how
Uh-huh.
it is the guy who had it was from some guy's collection. Like he was pretty unethical.
Well, I think that was the guy who was like really into phrenology, or like it stemmed
Yeah.
from that, like
Which is-
studying the skull and all that. I don't know.
Yeah, which is not
Also not ethical.
good. Yeah.
Right? Okay. Themed funerals.
love.
We love it.
I have seen some people that have like told, and I don't know if it's just fake for Instagram or whatever, but like people who have totally made cool caskets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like themed caskets.
Oh,
Yeah.
people go all out. There's actually a reality show that we love about this funeral home in Texas. It's called like Best Funeral Ever.
Yeah,
And
I think they came under fire, so we don't know.
Yeah, also not ethical, but
Yeah.
turns out what is.
I know.
But they specialize in doing these themed funerals. And
Mhm.
there was one that we were obsessed with. Her name was Judy Sunday, the woman who passed away, and she was obsessed with bowling. And so for her funeral, they did it bowling themed. They took her casket to the bowling alley and pushed it down the lane on rollers.
She had a strike. Yeah.
Yeah, Judy Sunday got her last strike.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's so cute. See, I am a themed girl, so I
Yeah.
love all of that stuff. I love that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what you would do for your funeral?
Yeah. What would your theme be?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If that's too personal? Then
Well, I just don't know.
Okay.
And my husband asks me all the time, like, we really should like figure out like what and
Yeah.
you know, get it all in writing and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And I'm always like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
And my brother is a mortician and like a funeral director. So he's like,
how
"Oh,
did you
gosh."
leave that out
Yeah.
until this
Oh yeah,
point?
let me drop a little bomb on you.
Brothers
No,
and
and he's like super into like the history of you know, the funeral business and like
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. He's very involved in everything.
Oh my gosh.
Let's school us.
Yeah.
we want to talk to
Preservation
your
of, like,
brother.
the cemeteries and the tombstones and things like that. And
That's
so
incredible.
cool.
I just,
Yeah.
but we also love a theme. And so I feel like, but it's hard. Yeah. You go through different waves in life. Like, this would be my theme right now, but is this what I want forever or my
Or
last
yeah,
party?
what you want done to your body. Like I've always wanted to be like super embalmed. Like I want to stay put as I can. But then you read about like, okay, what it does to the environment. And maybe
Yes.
I do want to be buried in a mushroom suit and
Right.
just be eaten. Like maybe I want to
Yeah.
be shot out of a cannon. Like I don't
Yeah, who
know.
knows?
right. I know. It's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's like you want to do the right thing ethically and for the world after us, but then at the same time, it's like,
Or do I want something really fun?
Yeah.
There's a woman who was buried, I think it was in Texas, and she was glamorous, beautiful. She was embalmed, and they had to buy a couple plots to do this, but she was buried in her like light blue Cadillac convertible in a nightgown with like the
Ooh.
radio playing something, and there's pictures of it and everything, and they just buried her, and she's just sitting there.
People buried on motorcycles, all
Yeah.
kinds of things. I mean, you can really do
Extreme embalming.
anything. Extreme embalming.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I have seen some photos of funerals where it'll be a setup like this, like a TV and chairs and a couch, and the guy is embalmed and he's sitting there and he has like his video game controller in
Yeah.
his hands
We
and
love it.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of creepy, but also I'm sort of loving it.
Yeah.
They get to be there for the last hour. Funerals can be boring sometimes.
Mhm.
Sorry. And I feel like if I would love to go to any funeral where I knew the person was going to be standing there doing something. They have
Oh, I
ones
love
where
it.
there's like boxers that are
Boxing
like
rings,
propped
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Just
There was
everything.
there was a lady in New Orleans. Her name was Mickey Esterling, and she was like a socialite there. And she was buried, or not buried, she was extremely embalmed. And her funeral was this beautiful production. They like set up her body. So she's sitting there, you know, and she looks fantastic. And she's surrounded by orchids and whatever. They basically built her like home courtyard, like where she loved. And she had like a glass of champagne. And
Didn't she have a
then
pin?
she
Like
had a pin or earrings that said bitch.
I think it was like, yeah, she had a brooch that was like in crystals, whatever. It said
Yeah.
bitch on it.
And she just looked fabulous.
That's so cool.
And
I love it.
It's like comforting too, in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's creepy. Like, okay, that person is passed on and we're pretending like they're not, but I think it's comforting.
Yeah. In an effort to normalize death too, I feel like why not
Mhm.
have them there?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like they're attending their part of the party too, instead
Yeah.
of like not.
No.
Like closed up in a
Yeah.
thing. I mean, I wonder how I would feel if I walked into one of those in real life. Because like I remember the first time I went and there was an open casket.
Uh-huh.
Like it feels a little like,
Jarring.
Scary.
yeah, you're like, I don't know how close I want to get or how much I want to see. And then here, my brother, on the other hand, is a mortician. Is like literally
He's like,
preparing the bodies daily.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, they could have done a better job on the like. No, just kidding. But and I'm like, I don't
we've
know if I
thought
should get
that.
close.
It could be weird.
Yeah.
For sure. But your brother probably, like, because it's his profession, has so much knowledge that it makes
Yes.
it not as scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has crazy amount of knowledge about all. If you ever need a guest about funeral stuff.
Absolutely. We would
Absolutely.
love that.
Yeah.
But
Love
speaking
that.
of the plots and things like that, I was just home this last weekend. My grandma turned 106.
106. That's incredible.
That is incredible.
She's like, I'm just never gonna die. I'm not making this decision. But my brother and I, so where we're from in Northern California, there's like some small, little, tiny old pioneer age cemeteries that there was never, or maybe there was a city at one, or city was a big word. Maybe there was like a little town or something at one time, but there isn't anymore and hasn't been in forever. So there's like these little tiny cemeteries and they'll have maybe like 50 graves or something like that. And they're just like in the middle of fields somewhere. And we made a little list of them and went and checked them all out. And they're just so cool. And it made me think that I've heard of people doing this before and I would love to get involved somehow, but like adopting a cemetery and like going in and help with like the cleanup and fixing the tombstones that are broken.
Yeah.
Like just, like going in and like having like a day where you invite people that have expertise in fixing tombstones or gardening or whatever, can lift big trees that have fallen over and cut them up and stuff and just like have a day of like cemetery maintenance.
Yeah. We need to do that because we've talked about or learned that there's living cemeteries and then when the cemetery is full, it's not living anymore. And then a lot of times it just doesn't get taken care of.
Or other countries, some places too, you essentially rent a grave. Like you do it and then after a couple of years, they're like, you're out of here. Like your contract's not renewed.
There's nobody left paying the bill.
Yeah.
Bye.
You gotta go.
Well, we love the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh, love, yes.
And we just looked into it and just that whole story of that cemetery is pretty wild. Like it was the first cemetery in Hollywood and then it, was doing well. And then in the 40s, it was like bought by an investor who drove it into the ground. And then it was shut down. And then in the 90s, two brothers came in and made it this amazing cemetery. But it went through that, no one cared about it,
Yeah, I did hear that at one time it was just not a good place to be.
Decrepit.
The crematory.
A lot of the bigger cemeteries have interesting backgrounds here. There's one in Oakland, California that is just so beautiful. And I was looking into it one time when I was up there because we would walk my sister's dogs there because that's just what everyone does. Yeah. And I read that the person who designed that one was the person who designed Central Park in New York. So it's always cool to see those little connections there.
Yeah.
But adopting a cemetery sounds...
I know. I feel like I need to get a group of people together that are all like-minded, like you guys are. And then we find different cemeteries that really are in need of repair and work with the city to do a day where fans can come and they, with their expertise in using a weed whacker or whatever. Whatever they do.
We're
planting flowers or whatever. I want to start a team. And we it's a volunteer thing, and it's giving back to the community type thing.
I would love that.
Yes,
in an area that we love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
I would love
How
that.
cool.
I know.
That would be fun.
Yeah. So if you guys think of a cemetery that needs repairs or find something or whatever, do you?
Actually, by where I live.
Oh,
the really, really old one. I don't know if it's in that bad of shape, but I do have.
Could be spruced up.
Yeah, it could be spruced up.
Yeah.
We'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Going back to a few things I saw you guys were talking about on your podcast, and this one really bugs me. But the chain mail thing about do this or you're going to die, or do this or something bad's going to happen to you, or even the opposite, even if it's do this and great luck or wealth is going to come to you. I cannot stand those things. And anybody that sends them to me is immediately on my shit list.
Manipulative.
Yes.
But it also ties back into, I feel like, the same psychology behind why I don't like reading horoscopes is because you feel this false pressure and you make it up in your head. And it's gotten worse now, chainmail, worse than ever. We did an episode on it because we were talking about how on TikTok now it'd be do not skip this or blah, blah, blah.
Instagram too.
Yeah. And then you feel well, shit. I don't want to.
I don't even want that thought.
Yeah. Just get it out of there. But Yeah, it's like content farming. or something,
Yeah.
I
In
think
my
they call
mind,
it.
I flip it around to the other person. I'm like, oh, that's going to be bad karma on you because these are bad and you shouldn't do that to people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I send that message out. I don't type that, but in my head, I just think that as I flip through it, I'm like, nope, I'm not falling
She's
for
up
your
at
scam.
2 a.m. like, listen, you little bitch, it's coming back to you, fucker.
With my voodoo doll,
Ultimate troll. Yeah.
my candles, I'm burning
Yeah.
wax and mixing
She's out
up
under that
almonds.
moon, sweetheart. And she's like, listen here, you're gonna get it.
Yes, that is me. Okay, and then this one, Holly and I even talked about it one time, and I can't remember why we would even be talking about it on our podcast, but I feel like it's so interesting. The third man syndrome.
Yes.
First, can you guys just tell people what it is?
Well, you talked about it, but we did get an incredible story from a listener.
I
that-
love listener stories.
amazing, but you know it better.
Basically, I feel like the easiest example to give would be like, okay, say you were lost in this maze and you
Okay.
like were not able to find your way out of the maze and you felt like this is never ending. I'm going to die here. I'm never going to get out of here. And then you just hear this voice that's like, hey, you know, make a left over here, make a right, and then you're out. And then all of a sudden you're out of this maze, but you're looking around and there's no one there. It's just
Yeah.
like a voice. It's like this internal dialogue that happens when people are in these emergency situations of like, I need to get out of here. And there's stories about like people during 9/11 who were like in the Twin Towers and they just heard someone guide them out of the building, but then that person was never there or they never existed.
I got chills.
So
Yeah.
stories like that, that's essentially what
What
third
it
man
is.
syndrome is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we received a story from one of our listeners and it was like chills.
She was at a park, like watching a soccer game or something.
Yeah.
And she felt really, really hot. And it was a hot day. And so she went to her car because she was like overheating. She sat in her car and she could feel herself like about to pass out. But she heard a voice in her head. She heard her grandpa's voice saying, like, hold on. Let's see. Her name was Katie. Let's say, hold on, Katie. Like, hold on. Just turn the air on, like, you know, talking her through it. She ends up, I can't remember if she passed
I think she
out
passed out.
and then woke up to a knock on her window, and it was the EMTs there. And she was fine, but she talked to her mom later on, and her mom was like, I had my dad's voice, so the grandpa. The mom got the same message too from the grandpa. Like, hey, you need to check on Katie. Something's not right. And the grandpa had passed on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. I believe it though. I believe like in our loved ones, you know, sometimes just being there helping us.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I know that other people have told me similar stories.
Yeah.
Like just people on my podcast and stuff that have happened to them. And it's like, there's something out there.
There
for
is.
sure.
100%.
Even like people have told me stories as simple, and not that it's simple because they may have passed away from this, but like they're at a red light and the light turns green and they start to go and they hear somebody yell, stop! And they slam on the brake and a car goes speeding past in the, you know, intersection. Things like that have happened to people.
Oh, that's so wild.
Yeah.
But they heard the voice saying stop.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a real...
And there's nobody in the car with them.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you kind of question like, okay, do we really? Because I go back and forth with that too. Like, do I have a set time that I'm going, that I'm dying? Or is it just, you know, chance and circumstances? And like, it makes you question that. Like, maybe we really do have a set time that we're all supposed to go.
Yeah.
If we did, would you want to know what it was?
No.
No.
Would you?
No.
No.
I mean, then I go, well, if you knew, then you could like live your life the fullest. Yeah. If you knew it was going to be like next month or whatever, you could be like, oh my God. And
I'm
like,
going to ball out this month.
yes. Forget that diet. Give me all the ice cream and pizza.
True.
Like, who cares?
That's true.
But then on the other hand, I'm like, oh no, because then you just be sitting there sick about it. And I feel like instead you would just be like, I have to see everybody and say goodbye and everybody be crying. And like, you know, you'd be doing all these goodbyes for like the last year or something.
Yeah.
What
Or
if you
more.
could know how? Would you want to know?
Oh.
Kinda.
kind of.
Yeah.
A
Because
little
I feel
more
like if there's one
intriguing.
thing I worry about like dying, it's not so much dying itself, but like how is
How?
it going to happen? Like, is
Yeah.
it going to be painful? Is it going to be like
traumatic?
horrible? Am I
Yeah.
just going to pass away in my sleep? Like, how does it happen?
And how do we know that passing in your sleep doesn't hurt?
I know. How do we know you're not like suffocating or like, you know?
Fuck.
I mean, I guess because we've seen people do it and it seems very
Peaceful.
and they don't seem
Yeah.
to be struggling typically.
Yeah.
I mean, in some
Yeah.
cases, I know I had. Do you guys know who Julie, the hospice nurse, is? She has an amazing like Instagram and stuff.
I think
TikTok
so. Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I had her on my podcast and she tells like she's incredible. Like she would be a good
Oh.
guest too.
Yeah.
Hats off to any hospice. We get the
Incredible.
best stories
Yeah.
always from hospice nurses.
Yes,
Mhm.
and she has great stories, but she was talking about how like there's certain things that are associated with death that people, the family, get really upset over, but it's a very common thing. Like it's called like the death gurgle or
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing and stuff. And it's just like your saliva in your throat. And the family is always like, make it stop, make it stop. And she said, like, we can go and suction it out and it'll make it stop. But what it does for your loved one is it dries out their mouth then and it makes them more uncomfortable. So it's making the family more comfortable because they're not hearing it's the death rattle.
Death
They're-
rattle. Yeah.
They're not hearing the death rattle anymore, but then the person who's passing has like a really dry mouth and it's getting like sores and things
Yeah.
like that from having dry mouth. So there's like a lot of it's like normalizing things
Yes.
that are associated with death.
Yeah.
But then there's also some things that are a little, even she was like, I can't explain them, where like they'll reach out for people and they're talking to people
Yes.
and pointing to people and motioning to people that are like right next to them and
Our
things like that.
hospice nurse for my grandfather, remember, he said to her, like, oh, Carol's coming to pick me up. That was my grandma's
Oh,
name. And my
mhm.
grandma had already passed away. And then he, like, died that day. So it was like he
Yes.
knew she was coming to get him.
Yeah.
Things that-
Yeah.
But do you ever have, like, I feel like some people have this innate sense, like, I'm going to probably be this old when I die. Or like I
Oh,
feel like some
you-
people have this
I've
internal.
heard people say that. Yeah. I have no idea. My grandma's
I don't either.
106. I could be, I only need to put extra money in my retirement.
Yeah. Totally. You have always had a sense of when I don't
84,
either. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm like, I could die
84?
tomorrow.
You just
Mhm.
know 84?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good long life, I feel like. I feel like that's a good age.
I also have you ever had Reiki done to you? Or like done like a
No,
Reiki
but I know about
session?
it.
Okay. I did one and and I feel like I saw my death in the Reiki session,
Crazy.
which was it was actually like a really good, peaceful situation.
Oh, good.
I feel like I don't want to jinx it, but like,
Okay.
but I don't know. I feel like it was good. My
Yeah.
partner also has always known. He doesn't know what age, but he's always pictured himself like on hospice, like surrounded by people. And yeah.
And wasn't the weird thing though that
Weird
he saw it
thing.
in a cabin?
So after I did my Reiki session, I was talking to him. I was like, I think I saw my death. Like, I feel like, because you just get these like flashes of images or whatever, which sounds so woo-woo and
Especially
crazy.
Coming from this person here, like he was very anti
Yeah.
it. Like, so I believe when he says it, I'm like, oh, okay. Like with the psychic and
Yeah.
everything, 'cause
So you were
not-
anti all of that?
Yeah, I just didn't fully. I wasn't anti. I
You
just
weren't
wasn't
falling
like.
for it.
I just was kind of like. I think when we die, that's it, and that's okay, and like that was kind of my closure. But I also had both my parents died pretty young,
Yeah.
and I feel like I was so used to death that I was just kind of like. It just like it's part of what happens, like
Yeah.
almost like we're bugs or something, and then we just die. And
Yeah.
that's kind of it. I don't know. Because it makes sense, right? That like people would come up with all these stories or all these reasons for an afterlife and stuff because we're so uncomfortable with the idea of like just simply not existing. And it's like, is there a level of narcissism tied into the fact that, oh, I have to believe that there's something more than just this experience right now?
Yeah, that's
Because otherwise, what's the point? But I don't know. Now I feel more open though. I'm more like, okay.
I totally get that too, but I just feel like there's so many stories. There's so many stories of afterlife, of like seeing things that are unexplained.
Or
and stuff.
NDEs that you hear
Oh my
about.
gosh, I'm obsessed with the NDE thing.
Yes.
Like I had Dr. Bruce Grayson on my last podcast too, talking about that because he wrote the book about. He's been studying that for like 40 years.
That's crazy.
It's fascinating.
It is.
It really is interesting.
a
Near-death experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, near death experience. In case anybody
Sorry.
didn't know. the lingo.
But also, a soul weighs like they did.
Oh yeah, certain amount of ounces.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, it's the movie. There's a movie called it.
Yes.
They named a movie after it, but yes, and they're also like, didn't they do an experiment where they had a body that was a person that was about to die, and they had it on a scale so they would weigh it after
Yes.
it left.
Yeah, you did a coffin spinner on
I
that.
think you did.
Or I did a coffin spinner. I don't remember.
Somebody did it.
Yeah, someone talked about it on an episode. Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Yeah, and I've also seen, and this might have just been on like Paranormal Caught on Camera or something like that, but I've seen a thing where a cop was talking about arriving to the scene of an accident. Have you seen what I'm talking about?
What?
Yes.
And he literally has like body cam footage of like a spirit lifting off of a body.
No.
I forget what they're called. There's a name for it. I
What?
literally saw another one the other day, and it was like a train track accident, and you just see something
lifting
floating
off.
above. Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
God. Okay.
I
I
forgot
gotta
about
look this up.
crazy.
It's so interesting. Okay, this is something that I am obsessed with. Electronic messages from the dead.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And you guys talked about it on your podcast.
Uh-huh.
So like I was obsessed with like phone calls from the dead originally. Like that like just creeps me out so bad when people
Yeah.
get a call after someone died.
Uh-huh.
But like there's like voice messages from
Uh-huh.
people after
Uh-huh.
they pass. There's like emails from people.
Yeah.
Printers print out weird stuff.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys have any stories that come to mind about
Oh my
this?
God. I feel like signs are just kind of like, I feel like that's one of the ways that we get signs. Have you ever read the book Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson?
I love Laura Lynn Jackson, but I don't think I've read the book.
Okay, the book's fantastic. So somebody gave it to me right after my mom passed away. And it's just basically, it's very cathartic. I always recommend it when someone's like grieving or someone loses someone.
Mhm.
I will always send them the book. And I just feel like it's helpful because it's not tied to anything specific. It's just all about like receiving signs and the different ways, like a bunch of different stories of how signs come through. But I am a big believer in signs.
Remember the butterfly sign?
Yeah, so there was
That's
this.
crazy.
Uh-huh. So, well, this kind of ties back into the psychic that I saw last year, but he brought up this butterfly that's like black and it has yellow. It's called a morning cloak, right?
Yeah, morning cloak butterfly.
And we were like, my sister's like, oh my God, that's so crazy because the week our mom passed, like I was in her room, like in her closet, just like looking at things and there was one of those was stuck in the house. And then we started seeing them just everywhere. That's not an electronic message.
Yeah,
I'm
not
sorry.
electronic.
That came from
No, that's
came
okay,
from
but
a
it's like the
butterfly.
signs. Because you were saying that the electronic messages are signs.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is an electronic message, if this counts, but I inherited my grandpa's computer after my grandma passed away on Christmas Day
Oh my
this
gosh.
years ago.
Yeah.
And my grandpa was just the most amazing grandpa. And he loved her so much. They were together for so long. And he loved to just take pictures of her and he would make cards for everybody. He was so cute. And so he had a computer and I was like 13 or 14 and I inherited it like that. I just got it. And I was going through it, like looking through just all the file. I don't know. I was like snooping around looking at stuff. And I get to the like picture folder and I'm going through it. And there's my grandma in her coffin, just dead. He had a ton of pictures in the coffin. And so that's my
Just wanted to
electronic
remember.
message. Yeah, just what he loved her so much. He wanted to just see her in every light, I guess.
Yeah.
But for you, that's got to be jarring to come across, especially as a 14-year-old. Like,
And it was like my grandma's death was kind of like the first time I was introduced to death. And
Mhm.
were with her during hospice, and it was just crazy. She did the like death rattle thing. Like it was a lot and my family we didn't have a lot of like deaths in the family, so we didn't really talk about it. And back to like seeing a dead body for the first time, especially in a coffin, it was so jarring. It was like, that is not her. So then to go
re-see it
and see it again, I was like, what the hell?
What was fucked for me was after my mom passed away, my little sister got her iPhone, and so she like put all her information in or whatever. But I remember like getting a text from the number like a couple days after my mom died, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on right now?
I've thought about that. Like, there's people, like, I'll be scrolling through my contacts looking for something, and I'll see somebody that I know has passed away. And I'm like, I wonder, like, I'm sure they just have given that number out to someone else.
Yeah.
But I just always wonder, like, what would it be like just to call that number?
Them.
Like, what would happen if I called my grandma right now?
Yeah.
Or, like, what if I called Mary O'Connor from the Playboy Mansion?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? I'm sure some random's going to pick up the phone and go, hello, or not answer the phone. If it was me, I wouldn't answer the phone. Like, they're probably like, who is this? And it's probably somebody else has that number now. But I always like kind of like, oh, it's creepy that I still have these numbers in my phone.
But it feels weird to delete them sometimes
it
too.
does. It does.
Or if you're in like a group chat, we talked about this, like, do you take them out of the group chat? Or do you start a new group chat? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have not had that happen, so I don't know what the etiquette is.
I'd say kick them out.
Leave it. You say kick them out. I say just start a new chat and just leave it, or include them.
What would Emily Post say? Well, I mean, I guess it depends too. Like if the number hasn't been reassigned and so just nobody's responding on their behalf, then you're fine. But if all of a sudden somebody's like, yeah, I think you should get the green one, or respond from that, you might be like, wait a minute. All right, it's time to, is this from the other side or is this somebody new?
Well, people get like Ring camera notifications all the time and stuff too, where they'll like see loved ones or, we've heard stories about that before. And that always just, I don't know. I love any sort of signs story.
Absolutely.
Always.
Definitely. So tell me about, you guys do the dumb criminals at the end. Tell me about one that just stands out that's like the dumbest criminal. I know it's not paranormal, but I just think it's so funny.
Ooh, who's your favorite?
So many. Okay, there's one that comes to mind, and it's an oldie.
Okay.
It's a goodie.
Okay.
This guy. Okay, so there was a Lowe's. And then it had a hardware store. And then it had a big parking lot. And then there was like a big wall. It'll make sense in a second. This guy steals from Lowe's. He stole like a fruit tree or something. It was something random.
Okay.
They see him steal. The security chases him. He runs through the parking lot, hops over that wall, and he's in a nudist colony. And he's running through it. He ends up being arrested there. They find him. But like, could you imagine? And then I was like, is the security at a nudist colony? Are they nude too?
Yeah, like you just wear a little hat or something.
Just a hat.
Wait, that reminds me of the last night, the dumb criminal we were talking about. So I'm sure you've probably heard of this situation that's breaking in LA right now about the guy from Weezer. His wife.
Yeah, what is this story? Yes.
Okay.
So confusing.
Well, yeah, it's confusing because it's kind of layered, but like basically there was like a car accident on like the 134 or whatever. But one of the suspects from that car accident ran into a neighborhood and was like on the run. He like ran into someone's yard and like took off his clothes down to his underwear and like jumped in somene's pool and then pretended he was like gardening or something to get away from the police.
Watering. And then he was in the pool.
Yeah, he was doing all this stuff. Okay, but I think it's the Schreiner, Scott Schreiner, his wife came out of their house when all of this was happening, because I guess she lives right where this was happening in Eagle Rock, and she like came out with a gun, but she pointed it at the police, and so they shot her in the shoulder, and then I guess she ran back inside for a while. But then I saw today there's like a video of him just walking the dogs or whatever, and TMZ or one of those guys caught up to him and was just like, hey, like, how's your run? He's like, we're good. We're chilling. He's like, I'll be at Coachella this weekend. Da, da, da. Just like so casual. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I know. This is mind-boggling on so many different levels. First, the first thing that happened is weird on its own.
Yeah.
On its own. But then why is she walking out with a gun? Okay, maybe she thinks the guy is in her backyard or something.
I know,
but like what?
But why don't aim a gun at the police? They're going to shoot you. Like,
Well, don't come out if you think if you think the criminal is in your backyard.
oh, I'm locking the doors.
Yes. And then secondly, if you're going to come out with a gun, why are you pointing it at the police? Like, why wouldn't you just be like dropping it and be like, oh my God, I thought you were the guy.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
I don't know. It might be like an adrenaline thing. I don't know. I have no idea.
It's so crazy.
But it is. It's crazy. And then to be shot and then run back inside for 30 minutes.
Right.
It's like, oh my God.
Wild.
Yeah.
And they only just shot her in the shoulder, which shows they can do that to stop people. You can just be shot in the shoulder or the leg or something. You don't have to like shoot to kill.
Yeah.
So it can be done.
It can be done.
Anyway, on that note, I just want to remind everybody about your book, Obituary, and I'm so excited. I really just feel like this is a full circle moment,
This
and I
is
can't
so
wait
cool.
to read it. Very, very excited. Tell everybody listening how they can listen to your podcast, follow you on social media, and buy your book.
We're at Obituary Podcast on pretty much
everything. The easiest way to find us that has everything is obituarypodcast.com.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All links, everything.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Ghost Bunny podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on my spooky adventures, and I look forward to sharing a new ghost story with you each week. Please subscribe to our podcast so you're always the first to know when a new episode is out, and follow me on social media at Ghost Bunny Podcast on Instagram and at Ghost Bunny Podcast on YouTube. And every once in a while, I'm dropping a little something on Patreon. Sorry, guys, I've been very, very slow on that.
Yes.
We need to collaborate on that. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.